Hello, my most amazing art students. So today I have my completed water lily pond with my trees, my background bushes, my foreground foliage, and what you're going to need is a set of watercolors, a jar of water, and a paintbrush. And so the way that I'm going to paint this is that I'm going to start with the sky and just go ahead and do a quick wash over the sky there. And it's okay if you paint over the trees because you're going to go back a little bit, not a ton, because we're going to try to keep the color separated from each of the different areas that we have, I guess is what we want to say. And then after we paint the sky, I don't know why this brush is not holding water. I'm just used to my nicer brushes at home. Now once you have your sky dropped in, I'm going to come down here to the foreground because I want to give that a little bit of time to dry. And go into my greens and just start painting over. Okay, this brush is horrid. Let me see. Let me try this one. There we go. I don't know if it's just, there we go. The paper has a sizing, I don't know. Paint over those green branches, each lily pad. Right there. And then notice my lily pads got smaller in the background. Paint over those guys. And all this here, all these little leaves I drew. All right, and then I'm going to do a couple of the tulip styled flowers with the orange. Adding that in. Maybe I'm gonna have a little bit of the red. What it'd be nice is to be able to create a color. I kind of have a mess on my palette here. It's gonna turn brown. Let me go ahead and wipe that off. Otherwise, my colors will get all muddied. Let me see if I can try to get a pink color in here. Or orangish red. A little bit of red on that one. And use, ooh, that's pretty. Dab up a little bit of that paint. And then, of course, I don't have a fuchsia or pink in this palette, but I can do a little work with the purple and get these flowers painted in purple here. My lotus flowers, purpley red violet, I guess is what and then maybe each of these little flowers on the end here has something. And then we have this red bush back, or orangey bush back here that we want to paint. This is very loose. Remember, Monet was impressionistic, so we don't want to be too tight in our painting. And then now that this blue is kind of dried up here, we can go back in with our green and paint the tree. And we can even add, some of the yellow greens in there, give it some depth. And then I'm going to go for these cypress style trees over here. I'm going to paint them all with the overpainting of green all the way down here. The nice thing is you can just paint right over the bridge because I'm being careful not to touch that orange because we don't want it to bleed too much into our cypress tree area. Maybe this one has it tall. Okay, so you can go back with a little bit of brownish green, and add some shadowing. Mix up a little bit of that and add a few, shadowing areas into our trees that kind of show how the light, because remember, Impressionism is all about, how the light played on surfaces. And that's why Monet painted the same thing over and over again at different times throughout the day, because he really was interested in seeing how the light played on certain surfaces. And, that's what I'm going to do these cattails with the brown. And then I forgot these bushes over here, so we got to get those. See about this blue-green. We'll see how that looks, that I created for another project. Just paint that all in here. There we go. I like the variance of colors. And then it's not dry enough yet, really. I'm going to kind of smooth this little area out a little bit where the paint decided to gather. Maybe that's a cloud. But these flowers aren't dry yet, so I don't really want to paint the water yet over there, because if I do, it'll just bleed all into there. But I'll do a small section. That looks dry over here, back in this area. We'll do a small section so you guys can see. I'll be very careful as I go around how the crayon, I put some white crayon around the lily pads, and how it's resisting, and it pops through and it kind of shows the water. There we go. Going around these leaves so we don't have too much bleeding. But you guys get the idea. And you can give yourself more time, drying time in between painting. And notice that the sky is much lighter than the water, because I used a lot more water when I painted the sky. The more water you use, the less pigmented the paint is, the less dark it is. So I would love to see how your paintings come out. The flowers are still wet here, so concerned about that. And I did have a little bit of bleeding in my original too. You guys can see that as well. Right here, I'll show you. This one kind of bloomed out into the water. So I'm trying not to get that, being very careful going around these areas. But you can wait. There it's going to go. It's going to bloom. Now I have purple water. And I just put my paintbrush in the purple because I said purple. Got to rinse off. So, you guys get the idea. I hope you had fun with this project. I really like the way this one comes out. I can't someday hope to visit, Monet's gardens and see them first person and see the beauty of those gardens that he spent years creating. Magical place that it is that he spent those last years of his life painting from. I just love nature and I love flowers. So thanks for joining me today, guys. I hope you had fun with this lesson and hope that you didn't have too much bleeding or blooming in yours. There's my finished water lily pond, but inspired by Claude Monet. Have a wonderful day, guys. Talk to you later.